We are back. Joining us is the author of The Untold Truth About Building a Startup. 17 lessons every entrepreneur needs to know.
Well, I definitely know it. Well, if there's 17 lessons, we better get started. Joining us is Jilea Hemmings, CEO and co-founder of Tyme. That's with a Y. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Jilea.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We have so much to unpack because 17 reasons is a lot. What inspired you to write a book? Let's start there.
Sure. So I've always been interested in entrepreneurship from when I was little. My grandfather started the first soda bottling company in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
And I know, right? Super cool. And then my dad has run his own law firm for the last 20 years. So I grew up seeing,
runs in your blood.
It runs in my blood for sure.
Yeah.
But I started my career in corporate America. I actually started in the pharmaceutical space. And prior to starting in that arena, they had never historically had layoffs before. And a couple of years in, it started to be layoffs every single year, right? So it got to be a little scary because at that point I already had my first child who had recently been diagnosed with autism. And I started to learn like the importance of diet. And I said, wow, okay, so healthy eating is extremely important, especially for children and especially with children on the spectrum. So I was like, how am I gonna do this? I'm a busy mom. I mean, this is gonna be really tough. But a lot of my girlfriends also had the same experience as well. And I said, you know what, maybe I should just start to dabble in the kitchen. And I did, and we started making meals that our children liked and started testing it on friends and family. And next thing you know, we had this new brand called Greenie Tots, and it was sold all over the country, and it was really awesome. So that was
the idea, sorry to interrupt, but that came to you at the hospital, right?
I
was like, what?
No, not at the hospital per se, but I mean, like when I was with my second son, I was like, yeah, let's get started. Let's do it right now. You know, now is the time, right? Especially when you were concerned about, you know, my career and if I was going to even have a job, which is really tough, right? That's a tough time to really start a business, but we decided to. And we had a tremendous amount of success there. And then since then, I've, you know, gone into the technology realm with Best Time, where we're starting to help pharmaceutical reps be more optimized with their time when it comes to scheduling with doctors' offices. And then Tyme with the cannabis space, helping just to be the full service e-commerce platform for the space. But one thing that I learned through all of my entrepreneurial journey is that people don't want to share, right? You're asking them, you're like, you know, how did you get so successful? What are some things to avoid? Oh, I've just been successful my whole life. And I just
you know,
exactly. So you're like, you know, I felt it was my duty to share lessons that I've learned because I wish somebody would have told me. Imagine if I would have known this, I could have avoided that pitfall. So I felt that I wanted to pay forward all the lessons I've learned so far so that someone else doesn't have to make the same mistakes.
So how'd you find out then about the lessons then?
How did I find
If nobody told you, then how did you find out?
Right, well, I lived them. So,
So your experience.
Right, so I mean, I had to learn the hard way by going through those experiences. Luckily for me, I did have some mentors along the way, but a lot of these experiences I had to go through. But I was like, you know what, everyone shouldn't have to go through all of these. And if I can help to shine some light and give them some perspective to hopefully allow them to avoid those pitfalls, how awesome would that be?
What separates an entrepreneur from everyone else? Like, what's the one quality you need to have to be an entrepreneur?
Wow, I feel like, you know, I'm biased. I feel like everyone has it within them, right? But the one thing I think is that you have to be able to see past and take the first step. I think entrepreneurs tend to be fearless, a little bit more fearless than I would say most.
And you're going to make mistakes.
You're going to make mistakes.
Right.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. I say that all the time. It's like, you know, we didn't learn how to walk by just, you know, waking up and walking one day. We had to fall, we had to, you know, crawl first and so forth. So the same thing applies, but I find that entrepreneurs have that ability to know that they, you know, they might be scared, but they still are able to move forward. So that's one thing that I would say a lot of entrepreneurs I see possess that trait.
We have about a minute left. I want you to give us some, like, 3 top things that entrepreneurs need to know to be successful.
I got to know, because I got to be successful.
Come
on.
Exactly.
In a minute, give me the tools.
The first thing is I feel that you need to start your business based on your purpose, strength, and talents, right? Because I think a lot of times we start businesses because we think they're going to make a lot of money. But the reality is it has to be something that you really are passionate about, because if you're not, then, you know, what's going to keep you there when times get hard? And it does get challenging. Secondly, I would say that you need to understand your worth. That's one of the biggest things that I find, that because you start your business and maybe you want to start getting investment at some point, you might start to feel that the investor has more, you know, of an understanding or more say-so or more clout than you, and you negate the fact that you're the expert in what you decided to create. So know your worth, know your value. And the last thing is really dare to fail up. I feel like so often, so many people decide they want to stop or they don't want to take that step because they're so scared of failing. But that's where you learn, and that's where the true success comes from, is knowing what your what it took to get there. So those would be the three that I would say stand out to me the most.
So Jilea, how's the book doing? Hold it up for us so that people
Sure.
can see.
Plug
How's the book
that.
doing?
Yes, The Untold Truth. Yes, so it's doing really, really well. I mean, what people really like about it is that it's raw. It just tells you the raw
Right.
truth. So we do have the business basics within the book, but we do tell you exactly what you need to know and give you gut checks actually at the end of every chapter so you can really see if you're on track.
Jilea, it's been a pleasure to have you on this
Thank you
show.
so
Thank
much.
you so much for
Thank you.
being
We
here.
gotta have you back because I want you to go through every 17 steps
Absolutely,
so I
I
can
would
be
love to.
successful.
I would
Thank
love
you,
to.
Thank
Jilea.
you.
I really
much.
appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks again to all of my guests, and a special thank you to my co-host today, Darren Cart, for being here. And thanks to all of you home for watching. Make sure you tune in next time for another great show. And let's continue our conversation on social media at Geraldo Maglera. I look forward to hearing from you. But before we go, please check out this amazing event right here in the Philadelphia area. UDance is a student-run organization at the University of Delaware, which raises funds and awareness for the fight against childhood cancer. Since 2017, UDance has raised over $9 million. It is so wonderful to see people come together for a great cause. Thanks for watching.
The preceding was sponsored by Fitness Training by Geraldo Incorporated.